Yeah, actually fishing for carp for more than 25 years now. Feels kind of strange saying it. During that time I underwent what I think is a pretty normal kind of progress, where you go from catching loads to catching bigger and bigger ones. And I mean, some stay at that point, which is obviously all right, but some tend to go the more extreme route where you're trying to catch the biggest and the special ones, which sometimes happen to be the same, but sometimes they're not. Right? And obviously everyone judges fish differently, what is actually special, but to me it's always been the hard ones, like the ones that others don't even look at, and the big ones too, to be fair. Yeah, so as I had a steady progress in my fishing, for the last 10 years especially, I looked at harder and harder venues, places where it took me days, weeks, months to even get a bite, or years to catch my first fish. So yeah, the longer I fish, the more important certain parts of tackle became for myself and for my actual fishing, and others are more like tools for the job, which doesn't make them less important, but I think oftentimes, like for most people, TT is something very interesting. Like terminal tackle can be the newest fancy rigs and the latest trend, and you can jump on them, and yeah, you will catch fish. Like the rig that doesn't catch a fish isn't yet to be tied. To me and my type of fishing, terminal tackle over the years, like my hooks, my leaders, my hook links, my swivels even, become more like very important tools, not something that I look at like a fashion item or something I would change because it's hip or cool. It's always been there and stayed in my tackle box if it was up for the job. And I only changed, and I change immediately and without any hesitance if it lets me down. If it lets me down in one situation, it's gone. I can't. The fishing I do, for any second I want to have doubt in my mind if my terminal tackle and that piece of tackle that puts me in contact with the fish, if that's up for the job or not. If I doubt that, it's not even worth going out there, because I don't have days to waste, or hours to waste, or not even minutes to waste, to be fair. I became fascinated with the topic of hook sharpening, because once somebody laid it down to me and showed it to me, I immediately saw it as it is, like maybe the biggest edge in terminal tackle itself, where no matter what rig you fish, no matter what bait you use, nothing of it really matters, but instantly you can change something by yourself that ups your catch rate from the get-go. You will put more fish on the bank, and whenever over all these years I stumbled over something where I could see that potential in, I jumped on it. And hook sharpening was something I embraced more than anything else. So saying that, I think it's in my nature to kind of revise everything else. So I even put more effort into everything around that hook, because at some point I found like, yeah, my hooks are there. I can't see them any better. What about everything else? Like, am I putting enough focus on the rest of my terminal tackle, and is it up for the job actually? Because I maximized this aspect. What about the rest? So I became pickier and pickier and pickier about my rig components, and I now think I have a setup for basically every problem fishing can throw at me, if it's mussels, if it's snacks, whatever it is. With strength and reliability in my mind, putting together my rods. 99.9% of the time I use braided main lines. They put me in direct contact to the fish. Fishing longer distances, etc., that can be mega important. Get that bite indication, be quicker in your reactions, quick on the rod, and apply pressure to the fish. That leads me up to a monoliter. Can vary in length from, say, 5 meters up to 50 meters, a whole spool sometimes, if it has to be. The more line comes in contact with the bottom, the more important abrasion resistant becomes, and there's nothing more abrasion resistant than a thick old mono. Next really important factor to me in my end tackle is obviously my hook length. I, over the last couple of years, became a huge fan of the Nash skin link. Personally, I prefer the semi-stiff version, 25 pounds. Never really found a situation where I felt I should use it thicker, and very rarely scale it down, because I think the 25 performs very, very good in almost every situation, and it's never let me down since. The coating is the best coating I ever stumbled across. It's so hard to strip that I never faced a situation where even if I had to get a rig out of a snag or out of a muscle-infested area, where I found the coating damaged to a point where I thought I have to renew the rig just because it got damaged by outer circumstances. Fishing huge waters and hunting down big fish all over Europe, I oftentimes get confronted with various problems and possible obstacles on the way. And most of the times it comes down to 3 steps that you have to overcome, which is basic, kinda. Finding the fish, figuring out how to fish for them, from where and how, and then getting a rod in position, using a boat, rowing it out, bait boat as it has to be, wading rods out, and fishing long distances against strong winds. Seen it all, been there, and love it, to be fair. But one thing that I don't want to think about is if my tackle is up for the test, and especially these last meters, which really, that's my attachment to the fish after all. And once I get that bite, to me that case is closed. It's really just getting that bite. I get that fish, just give me that bite, because I go out there, I row against that wind in the rain, I don't care, I get to that fish, and I just want to be in a position where I can give it my all and take everything from him. Like, it's a give and take, and I want to pull as hard as I have to, and don't worry any second if it might give. Like, you lose fish from time to time, you can't do much against it, but it's not down to my terminal tackle and my end game. After all, I can really say that nowadays, once I get a bite, to me that's a landed fish. Don't have many doubts. I did my homework, I know what works, and whatever is in my tackle box stood the test of time. Otherwise it wouldn't be there.